Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another episode of 646. As you can see, we are getting closer and closer to the holidays. But as you know, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is the first ever 12-team college football playoffs. And we're starting off with Indiana and Notre Dame. So with this, we're going to do a quick recap of last week's episode, a few weeks ago's episode, and I'll give you a quick rundown. Our 2014 record is 39, 30, and 1. We went 3 for 3 in the college conference championship games that we selected, and our record for season 3 is 65, 49, and 3. We're going to start off with the Notre Dame and Indiana game since that's happening tonight. We decided to rank this game number 2 in the mix. The reason why we rank this number 2 is Indiana has a chance to do something fantastic tonight. But when you look at what they've done, they've been beating teams convincingly in the Big Ten. No easy task. They took care of business against Michigan, won by 5, but they were playing Ohio State well, but their special teams collapsed on them. That's where they ended up going wrong against Ohio State. But they were leading Ohio State at one point in that game. Let's keep that in mind. They're able to do well, but if they have to play perfect to be able to beat Notre Dame. They can't afford mental mistakes, and that's what's going to be very costly. Now, if you look at Notre Dame, on the other hand, they played Florida State. They played Navy in the last 5 games. They played Virginia. They played Army. Their only closest game that was really tough was USC out of that matchup in the last 5-game stretch. So Notre Dame has, been driving and keeping things moving. However, if you look at the last 5 games, they've been keeping teams at bay with at least 2 scores or less. That's going to be a true task for Indiana to make sure that their offense doesn't stall out, because I guarantee you Notre Dame's offense will continue to move the ball up and down the field. So Indiana has to make some key stops in this scenario, which is going to be very pivotal in this matchup. But I think Notre Dame is going to be able to handle business. But I would love to see an upset for Notre Dame, but I think Notre Dame squeaks this one out. No too much questions about it here. So you can catch Indiana, Notre Dame tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on ABC and on ESPN. Next up, it looks like that didn't carry over quite well with our other remaining games. So we're going to do a quick adjustment in our schedule for our picks. But as we can see here, we're going to pick Notre Dame as the number 2 slot. So we're going to go back in our list. We're going to go to SMU, Penn State tomorrow, noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time on TNT and on Max. Ladies and gentlemen, this game is going to be very, very interesting in the matchup. Penn State has about a 67% chance of victory compared to SMU. And the big thing about this game that I'm looking at too is the weather in Happy Valley. The temperature around game time is 26 degrees. This is going to be very challenging for SMU in a Penn State whiteout. Though it's not a night game, still a whiteout Penn State on a nice day in the cold part of Pennsylvania. They have a tall task to fight the weather and to deal with Penn State's defense. 2 things that are not easy to get through. But they have a chance to do something great. They're able to, they've been beating teams single-handedly, convincingly, minus their loss to Clemson. But if you look at Cal, Virginia, hold them to like 1 scores. Boston College was a closer one. They won by 10 for SMU, and they beat Pitt in a decisive victory. Penn State, on the other hand, their defense has been shutting teams down, but also it's in a slugfest, and if their offense stalls, you have like what you have in Minnesota and what you have in Oregon. So that's the tale of 2 tales for Penn State. I think Penn State's going to get this one out because I think the weather factor is very pivotal in this matchup, because this is the very first time that I would say anyone's playing in this cold environment in December at this point. So it's going to be a lot of interesting things on this matchup. I'll save my comment on how I will describe the Ohio State and Tennessee game on what I'll say the weather factor will be in for that, but we'll get to that in due time, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, I have Penn State winning this one. Like I said, it's going to be a very short program tonight because I know the game is about to be underway. So we're going to go up to our number 3 slot in this one, ladies and gentlemen. So number 3 slot, we have Clemson, Texas tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific time on TNT and on Max, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Texas runaway. I don't think you need any more questions about it. Texas is only 2 losses against Georgia. One was a blowout first time around. Second time they lost to a backup in overtime. But ladies and gentlemen, this game has been all over the place in the quarterback position between Ewers or Manning. Which one do they go with? They keep swapping in and out. Clemson, on the other hand, they've just been doing Clemson. They've just been taking care of business. It's a tough loss to South Carolina. But they're not really scoring more than 20 points. Literally, all Texas has to do is shut Clemson down and make sure they don't score more than 20 points, and they win this game. It's easy said and done. Give me Texas in this one. There's no time to spend investing in Clemson. Though I would love to see something crazy, but I don't think this is the Clemson team to do it. I think they just got lucky in this scenario, and Texas is about to put them in their place. That's all I got to say about this game. And now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the game I want to talk about the most, the game that everyone's been hinting at, comments, everything that you can imagine, the intensity on social media. It's Tennessee, Ohio State tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time on ABC and on ESPN, ladies and gentlemen. I personally will be at this game in the cold. Right now, we have a nightly temperature of 28. I wonder if I'm able to see the, what should I say, temperature by the time of kickoff. Let me just check my phone real quick to see up against. But we have the low right now for Saturday around like 21 and the high of 31. It's going into Sunday, a low of 18. So I'm able to see what we're dealing with right now. But if we look at Columbus, Ohio, based on my iPhone weather app, we have around 6 p.m. a temperature of 25 degrees in the beautiful city of Columbus, Ohio. Tennessee has to make the trek up. Ohio State's at home. There's a lot of things floating around on social media where Tennessee fans are having more capacity in the shoe. They have a greater percentage. I'm like, it's social media. Anyone can fill in the pictures and say whatever they want to say. The fans at Ohio State are going to show up. I have some people say, oh, I'm not going to go to the game, this or that. Be like, you got to show support to your team. Whether they lose to their rival or not, they have a chance to win a national championship. That's clear as day. It's a new game, new start. We've seen Ohio State teams bounce back tremendously after a loss to the team up north in the next bowl game. The players have a chance to go through the toughest gauntlet through college football playoff history for quite some time until we add more teams and different scenarios in the next, 12-team playoff bracket. But let me give you a route for Ohio State, what they have to go through after they beat Tennessee. They have to go to Pasadena, most likely to Oregon, to play with Oregon. After that, then they'll have to go to the college football semifinals, most likely against Texas in the Cotton Bowl. So another home game that they have to deal up against with fan capacity. And then if they survive that and Georgia makes it to the finals for the national championship game, they're in Atlanta and Georgia's home. Like, Ohio State has one of the toughest routes. Same with Tennessee. It's not an easy task, and the cold weather is definitely going to wear these two teams down. But the question that we always have to ask, the cold weather. Like I said, I'll classify what I heard on social media. I think Urban Meyer probably put it best, saying when you have an Ohio State team like this, it's like, I want to say, it's almost like horse race. But these teams, I would say Tennessee and Ohio State, they have speed in the receiving core. If they can't get those guys the ball, this is turning into a traditional Big Ten showdown, like not a Big Ten showdown, but a Big Ten classic for Ohio State at least, is to just run the ball at them and just grind them down. I think that's the best way to do it. Ohio State will have to play Big Ten football if they can't air it out and just bully Tennessee on the front line. Now, granted, we do have injuries on our offensive line. That's going to be very key in this matchup. But ladies and gentlemen, Tennessee has to figure out something, get the ball going. I was telling a lot of coworkers what I've been seeing, what I had thoughts. I think how the game's going to unfold, Tennessee might be up 7-0 or 10-0 in the first quarter, Ohio State fans start to boo. The players start to realize this is not looking good. Bad for the fan base. The city's not going to like it. And then they start turning it on in the second half. They start connecting their drives. They start completing third downs and controlling it. And then they might be up or might be slightly down at half. It might be, 10-7. Might be a very slow, sluggish game. The third quarter is going to be a test of wit and mental capacity. And fourth quarter is going to come down to possessions and how much time you have left on the clock to be able to capitalize and win this game. That's how this game is going to break down. And Tennessee is coming to play hungry. They have something to prove. It's a Big Ten SEC statement. Lots at stake for these two schools and for these two conferences. So this is just the start of that campaign between those respective schools in the Big Ten SEC showdown. So Ohio State has to come out to play. Yes, losing at home to your rival sucks. Them planting the flag on your home field should get the players fired up. You don't happen again, where Tennessee comes in and plants the flag in the shoe. You do not want to have that happen. And you also don't want Tennessee fans to take your goalposts and throw it in the Olentangy River. Let's make that clear. So Ohio State, you got one job to do. Take care of business tomorrow. Take one game at a time. That's all you got to do. One game at a time. Play a physical 4 quarters, and you can walk out away with this dub. Play smart. Understand what you're going up against. If you have a shot at the deep ball, try it. If the weather's not on your side, work the short, medium routes as best you can. Some curls, some slants. Use the speed to your advantage. Receivers going. If they start seizing up because it's cold, it's just going to be a long night in that shoe when it's sub-zero, below freezing in this environment. And it's just going to eat away at players if they're not staying, moving up and down the field on the sideline, staying warm. So we're going to find out tomorrow. But I think Ohio State has a way to get this one out. It's going to be close. It's going to be a true fought battle. But I think Ohio State finds a way to pull this one out in this scenario. Let me give you a quick recap, and we'll get you on out of here so you can enjoy the Indiana-Notre Dame game tonight on ABC and on ESPN. But you can catch Tennessee versus Ohio State tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on ABC and on ESPN. Let's get a quick rundown, give you a quick recap of what we got, and you can enjoy these great games starting in the next 30 minutes. So in the 4 slot, we got SMU Penn State tomorrow, noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, TNT on Max. Give me Penn State to win it. Next up, we got Clemson versus Texas tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time on TNT and on Max. Give me Texas to win it. Next up, we got Indiana versus Notre Dame tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on ABC and on ESPN. Give me Notre Dame to win it. And without further ado, the game of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Tennessee, Ohio State tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on ABC and on ESPN. Give me Ohio State to win, ladies and gentlemen. Got 4 good games on 6 for 6. I understand we left 2 slots out, but we're focusing on the first ever college football playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. So our record for 2024, as that comes to a close, we got 39, 30-1. And then we might do an episode before New Year's Eve, depending, or December 30th. So we'll see how we want to do that to get those New Year's games out the way and for the next round of the playoffs. But our last episode, we went 3-3 with our season 3 record of 65, 49, and 3. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to 6 for 6 as we wind down of season 3. Like I said, we're going to be back next year with season 4, finishing up some of the college football playoff scenarios and taking care of business on adding more additions to 6 for 6. So long for now. Bye-bye.